Hi. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Believe in the Dallas Cowboys. It's just the title of the show. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the name of the network, Believe, BLEAV. Don't take it to Cowboys played football yesterday. And other teams are going to keep playing football. The NBA season's rocking, and BetOnline has you covered with all your up-to-the-second odds, news, and scores. Boy, you could have made a lot if you'd have taken Green Bay and moved that line and been like, I think they're going to kick the crap out of them. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime. Go to BetOnline, use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. There are 500 things to talk about with the Cowboys. Jesse, how are you?
I'm well. I'm fine this morning. I'm doing well.
I was there. Were you there?
No, I was at walk-ons. I broadcast from walk-ons in Arlington. I saw you had good seats too. You had
great
suite level seats.
I was in the field level suite. That's where I was. Yeah, it was great. I had a corn dog.
Wait. You saw right? Corn dog in public. I call that a glizzy in a cardigan. Did you like you cut it or you stick right to mouth? Oof. Batman.
The last bite is the only uncomfortable one because it's at the bottom and I'm not gonna pull the corn dog up, so you gotta go all the way in and then pull it off.
But why not just pull the corn dog up? Why not? Why not?
Out of a sense of pride for not feeling uncomfortable about it. Pride. Yeah, it's snacks. It was great. I had ice cream at the end. Ice cream. I had some ice cream. A whole
glizzy and ice cream in the suite. All right.
Yeah. I had some ice cream. I had some nachos. Made some nachos. They had a little queso with the meat in it and some chips. Yeah. Made my own nachos. Some sort of barbecue that was tasty. I put on some of the chips. That was good. They had chicken. I had about 4 pieces of chicken. I had a Dr. Pepper, a 7-Up, a Miller Lite, and a couple of bottles of water. Yeah, I had a great time.
Talk about empty calories. You and Dak had something in common.
The Cowboys got their asses kicked.
Man.
What was your favorite part?
The when the camera panned to the sideline and you just saw player after player that was I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, they have no clue either.
Yeah.
They have no clue what's going on.
That's great.
And this is the accountability show. We are a show of accountability.
I think I picked the Packers to win.
No, I don't think you picked the Packers to win.
What?
I don't think you picked the Packers.
Did I not?
I think you picked the Cowboys to win by 1 million. I think that was actually.
I think it was 30. I think it's 33-20.
Yeah, I think you said that the Cowboys would score a bunch of points. The over/under in this game,
we got to 33,
was
right?
50.5, right? The Green Bay Packers got 48. They almost had the over by themselves. But no, seriously, I don't think any of us thought what happened was actually going to happen. Any given Sunday, a team could lose. And if the game would have been 17-20 with the last second field goal, it would have been like, oh, okay. But the absolute, and I'm not a guy who uses profanity, but the absolute ass kicking that was on display for 90+ thousand to see in attendance, glizzy with the cardigan or not. And the millions and millions and millions watching at home was not on my 2024 bingo card, but it should have been. It should have been because 2024 has been a wild year. Cat Williams and he comes out with his stuff and I mean, I'm shocked. I'm not shocked by the loss. I am shocked by the way they lost. That to me has still been a head scratcher that, like you said, there's 500 places and people that we can go and point the finger. But I think we need to start with ourselves. We start with ourselves. We didn't give the Green Bay Packers their just due. We didn't give Matt LaFleur, who comes from those trees that we talk about. That seems to be the new trend of how things are going in the National Football League. We didn't give Jordan Love. We talked about he was Aaron Rodgers-esque, but he went full Aaron Rodgers. And then Aaron Jones is the new Aaron that kills the Cowboys. And I said that yesterday's price was not today's price when it came to Aaron Jones and his running ability against the Cowboys for all the reasons that I listed. But Aaron Jones said, you're right. Yesterday's price is not today's price. It's actually higher. And yeah, but I can go on for days and days and days, but what do you have?
I wanted to talk about pick your coach that you want to talk about first. Two coaches to talk about, and I can go either route.
I'll take the guy that I've when it went right, I stood on the table and said, that's my guy. So I have to stand on the table and say the same thing. It starts and ends with Mike McCarthy. You are the head coach. This team was not prepared, and it falls on you. That's so Mike McCarthy, Freaky Mike, my guy. You were my guy from the start. But this right here sits squarely on your shoulders because you did not prepare this football team to go in a home playoff game at that, not a road game. A home game where you've been absolutely dominant at home, 16-0, 40 points a game. I mean, you have been the here we go offense, and it was just like the only thing that was here we go was here we go home. Like,
nah. Okay, my McCarthy thoughts are Mike McCarthy's a good coach. He's a good head coach. I would not be surprised if this cost him his job. I would not be surprised if he's gone. And if he is, doesn't really bother me because again, I think he's a good coach, and that's what he is.
But okay, it doesn't bother you. But it's the same thing, and we'll get to the quarterback. But it's the same thing. I think when you talk about, all right, you get rid of a coach, and I'm not saying right or wrong, get rid of him and keep him. Right? I get the frustration. I get all of that. But where next? Right, because if we're going dinosaur tread, retread, then keep them.
Okay, so here is where actually I'm going to need you because I'm going to give you an opinion, and then I want you to help me with part of it. What I think is most important in an NFL head coach these days, and what I think the good teams do when they're hiring a head coach is they don't hire retreads and they don't hire defensive dudes. So if you told me the Cowboys, I'm firing Mike McCarthy, and I would be like, okay, that's fine. And I will give you the list of two names that I will consider for head coach. And one of them, I'm going to have to figure out if he pronounces that W as a W or a V. I want either Ben Johnson from the Lions or I want Bobby Slovic from the Texans, because what I want in a head coach is I don't need the world to know your name. I need you to give me a tangible, schematic advantage at football every weekend. That's what I want. Matt LaFleur does that. Kyle Shanahan does that. Mike McDaniel does that. Sean McVay does that. Those are my head coaches. Now, if you buy into the Cowboys weren't prepared and you have played in Dallas and you've played in New England, if you buy that, if Bill Belichick were here, he is proven enough and good enough at this that you won't have diva behavior. You won't have prima donnas. You won't have guys that are walking into their $1 billion facility and living life like that. And everybody will show up and be Jake Ferguson and it'll be all dogs. Then there's value to that. But what I want my head coach is on the field every week, definitive schematic advantage. Like Mike McCarthy being in charge of the offense made Dak the best player he's ever been for 17 games. That value is what I want. Now, I can also watch a Cowboy game and say that, great, Mike, more so than Kellen Moore, made Dak play his best. But if you watch a game of the Dolphins, the Packers, the Texans, the Rams, what you'll see to a better level than what you see here is my quarterback don't have to be great to complete passes. I got it. Because I know what you want to do. I know what we're going to do. And people just end up butt naked.
And I'm going to dictate what you do that's going to allow me to get my guys booty, butt, ball naked, wide open.
Yeah. So, I think Mike McCarthy is good. He brought the best out of Dak. And we can talk about yesterday, but over the course of a season, he got the best out of Dak. And so he gets credit for that. Good job, Mike McCarthy. There are guys who are better at it. There are guys who are more forward thinking and end up with having more easy plays for big gains. And so, if Mike McCarthy loses his job, which I would call it coin flip, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he gets fired for this game. I want you to pursue the name that won't make all Cowboy fans happy, because a lot of Cowboy fans don't know a bunch of assistant coach names. And I don't mean that as a shot or anything. I just mean NFL fans, the name. But I want to call the Texans and I want to call the Lions and I want their OCs. I don't necessarily want Belichick, but that's where I need you, because you played there, you played here. You can vouch for the country club thing is not just words people throw out, and that New England was different. And it's not just words people throw out. So maybe you could convince me, like, Belichick could change this. I don't know.
Yeah, the difference between, and you're absolutely right. Playing in New England, it was a shock. Spending 3 years in Dallas and then going to New England and being like, oh, wait, none of that other glitz and glance. Oh, no, this is all football. Oh, this is all football business. Oh, when you have Bill Belichick stand in front of the group and tell all of the guys, hey, all this extra stuff, once we get into the season, that stops. So if I see people in the mall with autograph signings, and if I see people doing all, and it has not been run by my desk, you'll have to deal with me. Right? Like that's a real conversation that I saw come out of Bill Belichick's mouth, that I heard come out of Bill Belichick's mouth, saying, when we start football, it's about football for the entire season. Like we're not camera's falling down.
I thought it was fun. I think it's fun watching.
I was like, whoa, what's happening here? Let's get this thing back right.
Just hold it by hand.
But Bill Belichick, saying to his group, like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to be about football and be about football's business until February. And then after that, you offseason do what you please. But for the Cowboys, that's never going to happen. And that's why I say that the whole Bill Belichick thing is almost it's an oxymoron. It's one of those things that sound good but doesn't make any sense, because I get why people want to have the Bill Belichick in the building, the name, the lineage, the things that he's brought to this league, but everything that the Cowboys are as an organization, Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are as front office personnel, was anti-Bill Belichick. Like, Jerry and Stephen, they are about selling. They are about selling a product. They are about a show. They're about cameras, lights, cameras, action. They're about all of those things that we see week in and week out. And Bill Belichick just isn't. Bill Belichick can care less about doing a weekly TV show, radio show. Bill Belichick can care less about cameras being in the building. Bill Belichick can care less about all of the extra stuff that will come along with being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, by the way, and you're not going to be able to tell the Joneses what to do in the front office. See, the thing why it worked so well in New England is because Rob Kraft said, here, I'm selling Gillette razors and I'm selling paper and I'm doing that stuff. And I'm in Florida getting rubbing tugs, and I'll see you when I see you. And hey, just bring me back victories. And Robert Kraft take out the way. You're not going to have that here in Dallas. You're going to have people that will question everything that you do. And so while Bill Belichick may fix some things, I don't think you would have to gut this entire roster to get your guys in here, right? To change the culture. And that's not going to happen. Michael Parsons is not going to not do his weekly podcast. Dak Prescott is not going to not do 8 TV commercials, right? CeeDee Lamb and the rest of these guys are not going to be at the Cowboy Experience getting money or at some other hotel on Saturdays getting money. It's happening. That's going down during the season, right? Zach Martin is not going to have a weekly radio show. Like, all of these things are going to continue to happen whether you like it or not. So the best bet is, to your point, is to go, and I said this on Twitter last night. I said, I want my coach to have an iPhone that have apps on it like TikTok and an IG, and was born in the mid 80s. And at some point in time in college, he downloaded illegal music from LimeWire and played computer speakers in his room. Like, I want my quarterback to be that guy, because if nothing else, what I'm going to do is create a culture that these young men can understand, and I'm going to treat them like young men, but also I'm going to give you a competitive advantage on the football field. You're going to be able to go out there and say, all right, X's and O's wise, we are just as good or as better than the guys that we're playing. And same thing for Dan Quinn, because when you look at all the games that Dan Quinn struggled in, it's been against guys that come from the McVay, Shanahan type of tree. So even he is getting a little bit prehistoric in his approach and hasn't figured out a way how to combat those things. So this thing is relatively old when you look at what they do. But I mean, firing Mike McCarthy, you damn sure better have an answer that's going to give your team a competitive advantage.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised if they end up with a head coaching search at all. As far as defensive coordinator, I do wonder what happens after that game. How many people consider what has happened when this Cowboys defense, hell, it was the last half of the season. The Cowboys defense wasn't good. And out there against Green Bay, we can talk about Dak made mistakes. CD made mistakes. Your offense wasn't good enough when the game was in the balance, but my God, they never had a chance to come back in that game because you weren't going to get a stop ever.
No.
And that, you know, I don't like Dan Quinn. The way I would say it is, I don't care. Like, if Dan Quinn is here or gone, I promise you won't hear, no matter how many podcasts we do, no matter how many live videos we do, you won't hear me say, how are they going to overcome losing Dan Quinn? I won't care. I think he's fine. I think players like him. I think he's probably a really good motivator. I think he's a really good dude. I think he's a solid defensive coordinator. I don't think he's special. I think the Cowboys got better defensively at the same time that Dan Quinn got here because they got rid of an awful coordinator and Micah Parsons got here.
Right.
Like, Micah Parsons got here and he'll be here for the next guy. This wasn't a good defense the second half of the football season.
And it was
an awful defense in the biggest game of the year.
And let's be honest, like Micah Parsons, you know, young man, you have some culpability in this as well. And for Micah Parsons, the thing that the gripe that I've had against Micah Parsons, there's been a couple. I do think Micah Parsons, while a great player, a transcending player, I've told people from day one, right, stop the Lawrence Taylor comparisons. Like I never bought into that. It has nothing to do with my Tar Heel bias. But let's not go there with the Tar Heel with the Lawrence Taylor comparisons. I think Micah Parsons at times is a selfish football player. I think Micah Parsons is a really good football player and wants to be really good for Micah Parsons. And if the team just so happens to benefit from his level of awesomeness, then great. But I don't think Micah Parsons is one of those guys who are really willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the team. And you can probably say, well, why should he? It's all about self. Well, that's not, you're not going to win that way. You just aren't going to win that way. And it has nothing to do with what he does off the field. I can care less about that. As long as he's not getting in trouble or harming anyone, I don't care what you do off the field. Honestly, like if you want to do podcasts, great, do podcasts. But understand that there's going to be a reaction for all the action that you put out there. You have the freedom of speech, but people also have the freedom to react to the things that you say. You have to pay consequences for those. But on the football field, for me, you watching that game last night, Micah's a one-trick pony. Like Micah, and this is why he pushed back so much from playing linebacker full-time. I get defensive end, more money's there, all that kind of stuff. But there takes a level of commitment to play linebacker. You have to actually study really, really hard because you have to look at keys and clues and things of that nature and be able to adjust and add audibles and all that kind of stuff. I don't think Micah Parsons is truly committed to doing those things. When you rush the passer, that's a one-trick pony type thing. And Micah Parsons isn't really good in the run game. And we saw that a lot last night. When you watch the Green Bay Packers and what they wanted to do in the run game, they was like, early on, they tried. They said, all right, we're going to just run the football at 90. And it was like, we're not doing that anymore. And then they said, okay, well, we're going to find 11 for I'm not saying every time, but a lot of times we're going to find 11 and we're actually going to leave him unblocked. And what we're going to do, we're going to run this wind back and we're going to have this wind back run. And we're going to give our running back two options. If the front side hole opens up, you take it. But tight end, you're going to come down the line of scrimmage and you're going to kick out this defensive end and Michael Parsons. Chop them, do whatever you have to do. And if the first hole not there on the front side, running back, you wind that thing back. Oh, because by the way, they got 200-pound linebackers. If we get to the second level with our guys, he's not going to be able to get off that block. So it's a 5-yard gain if he just falls forward. And they did it repeatedly in the game last night. You saw those linebackers kicking out Michael Parsons, chopping him at the legs, and he had no answer for it. And that's why they were able to run the football. And they just put the Cowboys on their heels, and they had no answer for this defense. And I said coming into this game that Michael Parsons needed to have a legacy playoff run, like a legacy moment playoff run, and he didn't. He didn't. And in order to be the best player on the football field, you have to impact the game far greater than 2 tackles, 1 assisted and 1 solo. You can't be the best player in all of football and be regarded in the lights of the name LT, and in the big game at home playoff game, you only record 2 tackles.
Yeah, I thought defensively that pretty much everyone was bad outside of Tank, and even he jumped off sides then and gave them a 3rd and 2 on the goal line to go score a touchdown. Like, nobody was good. Gilmore was getting torched. Bland. Man, my favorite play of the game was 3rd and 4. They lined up and they were playing man.
10 yards off.
And they were in man. And I'm sitting there with a buddy of mine because we're at the game. And he's like, why is Bland 10 yards off? I was like, he's got to be about to jump. Like he's baiting. No, he's just playing 10 yards off. Have a first down. Jordan Lewis got smoked by Dobbs for a giant play. Their zone coverage was awful. Their defensive tackles were butt. Their linebackers absolutely couldn't play the run to save their lives, and Damone Clark couldn't cover anybody. So it's like, I don't know. Like, is that all Dan Quinn's fault? I don't know. But he definitely didn't elevate anybody. I know that. They were awful. They were terrible. And I guess the last guy we haven't talked about, because I don't know what to do with it, is Dak. Like, Dak had a couple of misses, a couple of dumb plays. And then by the time you started making good plays, it was like, yeah, whatever. And that's the one you don't know what to do with. Like, what do you do now? Like, are you going to say that the all-pro quarterback sucks and we're going to let him play out his last year and then this is Trey Lance's team? No. You'll try to make the team better, and Dak will sign a giant extension this offseason, and you'll go try again. And you'll hope that he doesn't make a bad pick 6 decision and a bad – like I've been rewatching it this morning. I'm trying to figure out, like, is it worth even mentioning the stuff where it's like, it probably wasn't as bad as you think. And I don't know. I'm probably just not going to worry about it. He didn't play well. He didn't play good enough.
And that's the thing is to whom much is given, much is required, right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and you can put all the sayings that you want in there. But when you're the guy that makes the most money, and you're at the most, you're at the highest position on the football team. You have to bear that. Like, you have to bear that because, yeah, I mean, when you had your opportunity, were there some throws? I thought he and CeeDee Lamb, and they've had this weird relationship all year long. I didn't think CeeDee Lamb was good in that football game early on. He had a couple that I thought, man, those are catchable CeeDee Lamb passes for a guy who's an All-Pro at 1,700 yards. But that happened, and then. He didn't seem comfortable. He didn't look comfortable. He didn't seem comfortable. And again, to watch Jordan Love operate at the line of scrimmage, I want more of that from Dak to be able to get things in the right position. They had no answer. They had no answer for the zone covers that the Packers played, and we talked about coming into this game. Well, they're not a good defense, right? They're bad in the secondary. They give up the middle of the field. They da 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 da. And if we can see that, right? And I got pro eye. You've been around pros long enough. You got a pro eye. If we can see that, then it blows my mind that the quarterback who gets paid $55-60 million a year, you got to be better. And that's what it is. And yes, there were some other plays that you probably want back. But like, for example, the pick 6 by Darnell Savage, that's film study. That's film study. That's being predictable. That's lining up in that set that we've all seen 100 times in a row, and we've all seen that you never throw it to anybody else in that set. You don't throw it to the first guy. The first guy is always the clear out guy, and you're trying to find CeeDee Lamb. That's not hard. Like, that's not hard to figure out, especially for a defensive coordinator and a defensive player who's watching the same film that we're all watching. That situation where you're going, you went to that well one too many times, and you had some good throws in there. You should have had 3 interceptions. Campbell dropped 1 in the end zone again because you're predicting when your throws are going to go. And for Dak Prescott, he is in a, I guess you can call it a win-win situation, honestly.
He played an awful game and still holds literally all the cards.
Yes. I mean, because you're not going to carry $60 million on the books for next year. You're not. You're not going to do that.
You might, but if you do, I'm an unrestricted free agent at the end of next year, and you can't tag me.
You can't tag me.
Okay.
You can't trade me. I have a no trade clause in my contract. And then, by the way, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep a $60 million on the books and pay CD and pay Michael Parsons and bring back free agents or sign free agents and have a draft class. So, I mean, at the end of the day, unless you're deciding to blow this whole thing up, then that's the only way that you're winning in this. Dak's going to get paid. He's going to get a record amount of money, and he's going to get 5 to 7 years in the contract, however they want to break that down to make it make sense. And the Cowboys, you have to deal with them. And Dak, again, wherever you want to put him at, right? He's a top 10 quarterback, okay? Like, he's a top 10 quarterback. He had an MVP level type year. Real close to winning the MVP. You're not going to find that just laying in the Home Depot parking lot. You're just not. You aren't.
Just going to pick him 26th overall. I'm just going to find a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, you're just not going to do that. And if anybody's been lucky when it comes to the quarterback position, nobody has been luckier in the last 2 decades than the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. You found 2 franchise quarterbacks. One was an undrafted free agent, and the other was a 4th-round pick that have made you a viable, competitive contender year in, year out. And you've lucked up on that. There isn't any other team in the league that can say that their last 2 quarterbacks have been an undrafted free agent and a 4th-round pick, and they've been as competitive and as much as. So I don't know what you're going to do in that instance. But if you don't have a quarterback, I don't give a damn who your coach is. I don't care. They won't be successful, and you'll find yourself on the losing end of a lot of football games without Dak Prescott. You're in a tough situation. You're in a very tough situation because you really don't have any other way to go unless you decide to do some massive trade or let that go. However you want to do it and pour a ton of resources and trying to take somebody else's player from them. But you're stuck. You're stuck with Dak for the next at least 5 years.
Trey Lance season, baby. Oh, and I just wanted to throw one thing in. Shout out to Schoonmaker, who had one chance to just make a football play and didn't
get out of bounds, son.
And I thought that was perfect to illustrate that a team, Cowboys, who are really good at drafting, they're really good. You can light 2023 on fire. Their 1st-round pick has not helped at all. Like, they were out there plenty of times on rundowns with Hankins and Mozzie out there. Like, we need to play our run stoppers. Blown off the ball. Your 1st-rounder brought you nothing. Your 2nd-rounder brought you a net negative. Your 3rd-rounder's hurt. 2023 was a light that draft on fire. So shout out to Mike McCarthy getting to draft his guy in the 2nd round. Shout out to Dan Quinn or whoever who got their guy in the 1st round. Please, God, just let the scouts pick the players. Please. That's all.
Oh boy. Oh man. We got 8 more months of this. We have 8 more months.
I like draft season. I'm about to start watching tonight. It's time. Hey, here's the good news. For a team that had a really good record, and had a really good offense and all the things, when you start talking about what could you add, the answer is all of it.
Yeah.
Your offensive line is now shot. You have 1 tight end. You have 1 wide receiver. You have no linebackers. Your defensive tackles aren't good. Your pass rushers, you could actually use more. Your corners, you can always use more. Your safeties are meh. Like, it's draft season, baby. It wasn't supposed to be, though. That was supposed to be in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't, as far as draft, I don't even know where you begin. All right, because
right now,
do you begin at linebacker? Do you begin at offensive line? Like, it all starts. Are you getting a new coach? What is his philosophy? What do they want to do? And I don't know, man. It wasn't supposed to go like this. It wasn't supposed to end like this. And this team has.
This team was supposed to get like this done to them 2 weeks from now.
Right.
When we were ready for it.
Yes. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I was ready for this in the NFC Championship game.
Yes.
Playing the Niners. I'm like, oh, cool. Yes. This is right on par. Let's go. Yeah. But this is bad. Like, this is this is bad, man. This is bad. And I don't know. We talk about the windows opening and closing for a team and a franchise.
This was their best shot.
Yeah. I don't, because
they won't have a better shot next year.
No, Detroit will be better. Green Bay will be better. Maybe Philly gets stuff together and they'll be better. You're going to have a ton of teams in this conference that are going to get better that you have to contend with. The Niners aren't going anywhere, right? They're going to be still a good football team. Who knows what the Rams may or may not do, whatever in that situation. But yeah, man, I just it's a wrap. It's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. And,
hire a giant difference maker of a coach.
Your
offense.
I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know if in a year that's gonna make a difference.
Yeah, no, this was their best chance. Well, I mean, who knows, right? You have no idea what happens in an offseason, but you're probably, well, I don't know. Is Tyron going to come play again? His contract's up, but is he going to play again? If he does and he plays well, great.
They shouldn't bring back Tyron. Honestly, they shouldn't. Not
he's really good.
No, he misses 5-6 games every single year.
He's really good.
And I get it, but
you just pretend he's not here.
I mean, unless you're going to not practice him all year long.
Correct.
Which is crazy to me. I just can't. I can't realistically wrap my mind around saying, "Hey, here's a guy that we know is going to miss 4 to 6 games, legitimately, every year. Let's plug him in as our starting left tackle. Like let's plug him in as our starting left tackle and go, hey, we'll see what happens." Like,
where else you gonna find him? We also don't have very many draft picks because we traded them.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And maybe you have to. And for the folks, they're not moving. They're not moving Tyler. Tyler's your left tackle for the next 10 years. They're not moving him out. I'm sorry, your left guard for the next 10 years. They're not moving him out to tackle. You're going to have to find answers for Terrence Steele. You're going to have to find answers for Tyler Biadasz. And hell, who knows?
Terrence Steele's here.
Zach Martin may wake up in February and go, you know what, guys? I'm good. It hurts to play this game, and I don't want to anymore. Who knows what may happen this offseason? Like you said, it's a crazy offseason, but this is, man, I don't know. Jerry is the greatest spin doctor that ever lived. I don't know how he's going to be able to spin this entire offseason and convince people to believe in this team again.
That's why he'll fire the coach. That's how you do it. You lay it at the feet of someone. You go, yeah, but now that we have whatever, and that won't be true. The odds of them, well, I want to say the odds of them having a better team next year are low, but I mean, so many of the guys that I thought were good by the second half of the year, you were like, but they got a lot of work to do. This was their best chance for an NFC title game in a long time.
Right.
In a long time. All right. Well, RIP. Happy draft season, everybody. Woot woot. We're presented by our friends at Bet Online. And remember, you never know. You have no idea what anyone's going through, especially Cowboy fans right now.
Man.
So be cool to everyone. We love you. Be easy.
There's a lot of them, but for the Cowboy country, eliminate the contingencies.